Don't worry, I am going to be showing a quick mod in this video for a build, but we need to talk about Discord for a minute. As someone who uses and has a Discord server, who is a moderator on that server, of course, I have problems with some of the changes that Discord has made in the recent past. Now, I'm not the first person to complain about new updates on the internet. Of course not, right? There's a meme about it. But here's the problem. Discord, for a while, has been kind of hard to use on the PC. For the most part, it behaves pretty similarly to how it does on the app. I have Android, so I can only speak to the one that I have experience with. But recently, the app changed, and it did so for the worse because it nerfed the search feature. And as someone who runs a server, that's a problem, because being able to actually search, not just for certain things, but very specific things and for specific users, is a tool. Now, I think this should be a tool that is available to everybody on the server, or at the very least, if you are a moderator of that server, you should have the right to choose who has and does not have that feature. But it is something we used to be able to do up until recently, even as recently as December. And so to see this taken away is a problem. The app itself has changed, the update has changed it, and I do think it's for the worse because things have moved around, and that's whatever though. Updates are going to change things. It's whatever. I do think it's for the worst because notifications are kind of buggy now and messages can be kind of buggy. Well, whatever. Hopefully that's stuff that gets ironed out in the future. But to take away this feature, and yes, I know I said feature instead of future, to take away this feature, to be able to search for a specific username, for example, is a problem. And it's something that Discord has had for the better part of like at least 4 years, as long as I've been on it. So it bothers me because here's the thing. I created a video just before this one, in fact, and I mentioned a very specific piece, but I didn't show you what that piece was because I couldn't find it. It's not that it was posted a long time ago. It wasn't. It's just there are a decent number of members on the server, and so it had gotten buried. And I didn't remember exactly which channel it was posted in, but I did remember who posted it. Well, unfortunately for me, that wasn't going to help me because even though I knew who posted it, I could no longer search them by their username. Nobody. I cannot search on my own server by usernames, and no one can. It's really unfortunate. Now, maybe this is not true for everybody. Maybe you have an older update of the app. Maybe there's a different update. Maybe you have a different device. Whatever the case, I cannot speak for everybody. But thankfully, I was able to find this finally because I recognized that the person who designs these mocks puts a lot of effort not only in the mocks themselves, but sort of coming up with backstories for these characters as well, and is an incredibly prolific mockist. And so I remembered not only did they name their characters, they would give them like pronouns and things like that. And that is something that is easily searchable because it's common between every post. Does that make sense? So because I can expect it, I know, oh, okay, I can search a specific pronoun, and that's what got it there. I was super happy with it. Something as simple as being able to search like her, is what ended up actually helping me find this mock. So let me go ahead and show you that without further ado first. And the creator of this mock is Nattarthetimedragon. I really apologize if I pronounce that name wrong. I'm notorious for pronouncing names wrong, for words wrong. So with that said, though, beautiful mock here. This is Zuburu, a air Karzani Island Matoran, I believe, or Karzani, area Matoran. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. I'm terrible with it. I do apologize. Beautiful, by the way. I don't tend to favor like highly intricate custom pieces like this, but I think they have really sort of captured their own style really well. And this gear piece on the back of this arm here is the exact piece that I was talking about in the previous video. Something that had inspired one of the pieces that I had designed. And you can check that video out after this one to see that piece. Suffice to say, I wouldn't have found this without those pronouns because Discord or Microsoft, whatever the case, just decided you don't need this tool anymore. And I feel like when companies take things away from you, I understand to a degree certain things have to change for safety reasons sometimes, but oftentimes, more often than not, in fact, companies will take things away from you and then offer them back to you, but for like a paid price, which I find kind of gross. I'll probably focus a completely separate video on like subscription services and stuff like that, because yes, I understand that that's not really the point of this channel, but at the same time, it is important. And I do have a really funny story about subscription services very specifically. We'll get into that in a future video. That said, I did promise a very small mod. So let me go ahead and show you that one here really quickly. This is just a mod on a Lego set. It is not Bionicle this time around. It is one of the Ninjago sets because I have it in hand now, and it's very simple. All of the pieces here, in fact, are from the set, so it's just a slight rebuild of the set, with the exception of a ball joint in the neck, because why was that not in there? I don't understand. There's enough space for it. The parts exist. So what's going on here? Anyway, but that allows you to actually turn the head and stuff. That's fine. And oddly enough, though maybe I was just kind of messing up the first time, the back jaw or the bottom jaw can move backward further and forward further now. By changing that, that doesn't make sense to me because nothing was in the way previously. So I think that's just because of the wear on the pieces. Maybe I've kind of broken them in a little bit, which is nice. But I kind of like the overbite on it. It works. And someone said that it really kind of represents a frog. And I do think that that works out too, like a burrowing frog. I thought it would be cool to see it as kind of like a mole or some kind of burrowing mammal porcupine thing. But I do think the frog is probably the closest sort of thing to this. Now, there's a lot I still want to change about this. Again, I do think that the shaping underneath here is better, but again, using just pieces from the set leaves a lot to be desired, and I'd like to smooth this out a bit more and maybe shape it up. I don't like the long body, so I just opted not to use it. I just don't care for it. I think that evolution or whatever, it's really kind of unnecessary. I think this honestly benefits most from its short, stocky build. So why would I not lean into that, you know? And honestly, Lego should have too, because this could have been a cheaper set. The thing is, this set feels overpriced. It kind of is, if you think about it. It's too many figures. It's like 280 some odd pieces for $35. That feels like too much. And if they would have just not given us that midsection and just treated this like the other Evo dragons, the core Evo dragons, I think this would have actually been a pretty decent set. There are absolutely things I would change about it. The brown is cool, and I think it's handled reasonably well with the set in hand, but I still think I'd go with a different color than brown, just because there's already a decent number of colors here, and also because I think that there's some more important pieces you could put in their place, and maybe even more important colors as well. I also don't personally care for the gold too much. I think on the horns it works. It's kind of an ornate feeling, and I like it better than I thought I would, having looked at the pictures, right? But still, for the bottom jaw, I don't think I care for it that much. And pretty much all of the pieces on the bottom of this model exist in dark gray, including a different version of bottom jaw from the water dragon from a couple of years ago. And so I figure I'll just switch it for dark gray, because black, dark gray, orange is essentially the new Paru color scheme, right? So it pays homage to that, and it looks good. So yeah, there are a lot of little things that I can change, little things that I can address, and I think it looks fine overall like this. I don't think it needs anything else, to be honest. That said, there are other Lego pieces with stickers very similar to this. In fact, I have some, so I may try to implement some of those as well. We'll see what I end up coming up with. And of course, we got to address the posability on this guy and the wings, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the posability, it has ball joints in the shoulders here and ball joints in the feet here, but then it has ratchet joints in the wrists and ratchet joints in the hips. What is the point of that? Like, just stick with one, you know, ball joints preferably. This doesn't weigh a ton, so like, I think you could get away with using ball joints on all four, for sure. I also honestly would have liked to have seen the tail on a ball joint as well, but I don't mind it just spinning in one direction. I think it's fine. Lastly though, the wings, as I mentioned, they stick out of the side of the model, and I see this as a burrowing creature, so having them stick out of the side just feels off. If a creature was to evolve like this, I don't think the wings would stick out of the side like this so much as they would fold back, kind of like bat wings. So anyway, that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and of course, make sure to check out the Discord, and I will see you all in the next one. Links in the description. Take care.